what's happening? Tommy C here. Shot from point, hockey update, whatever. Game 7. Chicago Blackhawks versus the Anaheim Mighty Ducks. I can't fix this. Anaheim Mighty Ducks. Let me close the door here. This will be my last little broadcast before I get back to Shot from Point headquarters. I want to talk to you a little bit about the Blackhawks versus the Ducks, Game 7. Wasn't terribly surprised with this victory. I figured the Blackhawks would find a way because essentially Kane and the Kessler-Jonathan Toews matchup, which was so important to the series and very well documented by the media, Toews was able to figure out how to deal with Kessler, which I did believe that he was the type of player that was able to do it. There's other key factors in this game. Frederik Andersen didn't show up like I'd hoped he would, and he was outplayed by Corey Crawford. Corey Crawford, who takes a lot of crap about being sort of second-rate goalie on a really good team. I mean, Jake Link once said he should thank his lucky stars that he's a Chicago Blackhawk. I don't know if that's the case or not, but, you know, Mr. Crawford does have a habit of coming up with big games, and he certainly did last night, only giving up 2 goals, while the Chicago offense pretty much dominated for most of the game. I'm happy the Hawks are in there. I think when it comes down to this situation, I would have much rather had a Rangers-Blackhawks final. I guess that's, at this point, I guess you root for what's good for hockey. Tampa, Chicago is not as nice as what you think New York, Chicago would be, but, you know, hey, best teams that win play. This ain't pro wrestling. So we have this matchup going in. It's, you know, me and Dead on Dave just had a short chat just a little while ago, and he mentioned something about, I mean, you saw this incredible giveaway by Ryan Getzlaf during this game that led to a Brendan Saad goal. Maybe, just maybe, these guys are slightly overrated, these two guys. Yes, they did win a cup in 2007 when they were a very young team, but they also had they had a core defense that was experienced. They had a bunch of graybeards, and I'm not taking anything away from the Ducks as far as how good. Certainly, I repeat what I said yesterday. All four of these teams definitely have it in them to win the Stanley Cup. I think Chicago has just proved that they are the Edmonton Oilers of this generation of hockey. I don't say that lightly. Having been born in 1976, having watched the Edmonton Oilers, having those Oilers come over to my Rangers and win a Stanley Cup with them when they were older players. So I don't say this lightly. I think the Chicago Blackhawks are just simply that good, and they gave us what we expect them to give us in a big game. The only team that's really been able to handle them is the Los Angeles Kings under certain circumstances, and they weren't in the playoffs this year for a bunch of reasons. I guess guys are doing coke and beating their wives, and that's not usually good locker room environment, and you don't seem to have that in the Chicago Blackhawks environment. Again, me and Dave were talking, and there did seem to be this sort of a reiteration in the Ducks, from the Ducks coaching and some of the Ducks, like their players and Ryan Getzlaf, that, you know, the hits were going to add up and Chicago was essentially going to fall apart. That is a lousy strategy. Dave is calling for Bruce Boudreau's head at this point. That this is just, it was such a lousy strategy that Boudreau probably should even be fired. I don't know if I'm going to go that far, but I do know that Teemu Selanne would like to see it. Teemu Selanne, not a big fan of Bruce Boudreau, and Patrick Waugh, as we all know from a season ago. I do think it's kind of a bizarre strategy that you're going to get a team that's won 2 Stanley Cups in the last 5 years, that has been to so many Western Conference Finals in the last few years. I mean, they seem like they're in the Western Conference Final every single year. It takes some tremendous effort to beat the Chicago Blackhawks team. To think that hits alone would just either get them to fold or injure them in such a manner that they won't be able to respond. It seems like a really lousy strategy, and it also seems maybe, now that I'm thinking about it, maybe I'm giving the Ducks a little more credit than they deserve. Now that I'm thinking about it, because if that's all you got against a team like the Chicago Blackhawks with the Seabrooks, with the Duncans, who's playing out of his mind, and of course the Kane and Tays, and let's not forget the Blackhawks have role players too, sort of like I mentioned yesterday with the Tampa Bay Lightning. They got guys like former Ranger Brad Richards who fit in very, very well over there, and I think it'd be nice to see him get another Stanley Cup. I'd be very happy for him. It does seem a little bit peculiar that they would go with that kind of thinking, and then flipping back to Getzlaf and Perry, yeah, they were a little bit invisible, and maybe the media should have concentrated on a little more, instead of the Kessler-Tays matchup, they should have maybe concentrated on the matchups that were really preventing Getzlaf and Perry from making an impact, because they were somewhat invisible. And for the most part, the Blackhawks dominated this game. They needed a big effort. They got it from their goalie, but they got it from their defense, some offense from their defense, and of course, the forwards and the Blackhawks are lethal. And I think the Hawks got a little lucky that Frederik Anderson, who is a tremendous goalie, did have a soft game. It's not what you want, and it goes to show you it needs to be firing on all cylinders. Look at the Rangers just 24 hours ago with Henrik Lundqvist. I mean, I don't think anybody on the planet could say that he didn't give them the most opportunity to win. He didn't give the Rangers the best opportunity to actually pull off a victory here, and they weren't able to do it because they didn't. Their offense wasn't firing on all cylinders. Nash, King Louis, and that's pretty much it. So we have a Tampa Chicago Blackhawks matchup. I think the worst thing that the Hawks could do is underestimate this team. I think a lot of fans, including myself, have underestimated the Tampa Bay Lightning. They're one of the highest scoring teams in the playoffs. They're confident. They have shown that they can dig themselves out of holes, that they can take losses and bounce back. This is a very good team. I think the only thing that really threatens the Blackhawks is the fact that they might not take them too seriously. But considering the type of team the Blackhawks are, I don't see that happening. I do see this game going, the series possibly going 6, maybe even 7. I expect Tampa to come out and fire on all cylinders, and Ben Bishop to be the type of goalie he's been most of the playoffs, and it's going to be quite an interesting matchup. I am this little vacation of mine is coming to an end, and I'll be happy to get home. I actually sprained my foot playing water hockey, water polo, whatever the hell they call it, I don't know. And I got a big black and blue mark, and I'm limping all over the place over here. So I think I've had it. I want to get back in front of a mic. Today, make sure you check out, please check out Joe Cronin, Shot from the Point Live. This will be his last episode. He's given us 3 weeks in a row. Make sure you call him up. Make sure you thank him for taking over Shot from the Point Live. That's at 3 p.m. today, Sunday, Eastern Standard Time, and I would appreciate if you did that. Also give a big thanks to Dave. You get one more week of him on In the Crease, and then I will make my appearance after I actually fix XSplit, because they made some kind of bizarre change that screwed up my graphics just before I left, I noticed. So I gotta work with that. Maybe you'll see a new look, because that's how much the change kind of screwed me up. It doesn't look right anymore. So I'll take care of that. Also, get your picks in before puck drop. Yes, there are more picks to go. There are more picks. You must get your picks in for the final round. This is the most points you can get per round, with the possible exception of the tiebreaker picks. It's oh God, I think it's 8. Let's see, 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, and this is 7 and 8. So if you pick this series right, you get 8 points, or you get 8 points maximum if you pick the series, and if you actually just pick the team, you get 7 points. So make sure you get your picks in. Thank you very much. I'm Tommy C. This is my last broadcast from Tenerife, Spain. Maybe you want to look that up. Check where I am. I'm actually closer to Africa than I am in Spain. If you believe that, closer to Africa. So I'll see you around. Take care.